One time, a man came to the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ in a time where there was no prayer. And obviously, as you know, the Prophet ﷺ used to live in the masjid. His house was placed in the masjid. So when he saw that Sahabi coming in that time, the Prophet ﷺ felt that there is something up with that man. So he came and approached the man and asked him, "So what are you doing here in this time? Do you need help?" Now the Sahabi told the Prophet ﷺ, "I have two things that I'm struggling with in my life." He said, "Number one, Ya Rasulullah, غلبت علي ديوني وكثرت علي همومي." He says, "I'm struggling with two things. Number one, I'm just overwhelmed with all of these negative thoughts and feelings that's taken over me. And number two, I have a lot of debts that I need to pay off. So I'm just overwhelmed, and I found the masjid a way out for me. And I came here to speak to you, O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam." And before diving into the advice, which is this advice in the shape of a dua, very powerful dua that we really need to internalize, but just see how the community of the Prophet ﷺ built a massive connection to the Prophet. They just felt very comfortable coming to the Prophet ﷺ and just opening up to the Prophet. And that indicates a deep relationship that the Prophet ﷺ had with his companions. You see what I'm saying? So subhanAllah, the Prophet ﷺ was just easy to talk to. He had that care towards his ummah, towards his Sahaba. And so the Sahabi didn't take him that long to just open up to the Prophet ﷺ. Anyhow, the Prophet ﷺ gave him the advice. He told him, "I will teach you this dua that I want you to say 3 times in the morning and 3 times in the evening." Now, if you think about it, why is it the Prophet ﷺ giving that Sahabi the frequency of saying this dua on a daily basis? Maybe you wonder, maybe you ask why. And subhanAllah, if you look at Adhkar al-Sabah and Adhkar al-Masa, the morning dua and the evening dua that we recite on a daily basis, and if we're not reciting these du'as on a daily basis, we really need to engage in these du'as. Because these du'as are very powerful, beautiful. It actually sets you up for the day. If you say it at the beginning of your day, it sets you up for the day. It has beautiful meanings behind it. If you truly just dive deep into the du'a and understand what this du'a all about, it really sets you up for the entire day. For the entire day. So subhanAllah, the Prophet ﷺ, this dua that he gave to the Sahabi is actually also part of the morning dua and in the evening dua. 3 times because you just need to internalize it. When you say something more frequently, you start to build that connection to the dua, or build this connection to a statement, right? In corporate, sometimes they just let the employees repeat the vision and mission of the company. Why? Because it's a reminder. You say it more often, it just builds sort of attachment in the back of your head. And here is a beautiful dua. The more you say it, the more connection you get to that, to build towards that dua. Anyhow, the Prophet told him, say this dua. You ready to hear it? Bismillah. The Prophet told him, say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan wa min al-ajizi wal-kasal wa min al-jubni wal-bukhl wa min ghalabat ad-dayni wa qahr al-rijal. Let's translate this dua, beautiful dua. He told him, first and foremost, I want you to seek refuge in Allah from ham wa hazan. Now, what is the difference between al-ham and al-hazan? Al-ham is basically things that relate to the future. Hazan is mainly things that's actually connected to your past. It's sadness, depression that has to do with your past. Ham are some sort of an anxiety that you have of the future. You have towards, you have that anxiety towards, the future of your children. You have that anxiety towards the future of your health. things that you have no control over and you're worried about because it's gonna come up and you don't get to control these results, so you're panicking. You're just overwhelmed. I don't know what's gonna happen to my child. I don't know my health condition, what's gonna happen, next month. My parents are sick, I don't know what's gonna happen to them. My children, the future of my children, I don't know what's gonna happen to my children here. I'm worried. Or you're even worried about your financial situation, about the future, how I'm gonna be dealing with all of my bills, how I'm gonna be, navigating these difficulties with my partner. Many things that we're worried about on a daily basis. So anything that you're worried about when it comes to the future, it's called ham. Just a thought that comes to mind, and you're just feeling that this thought is making yourself kind of just worried about the future. Now, hazan, things that happened in the past, and certain events that may occurred in your past and still have an impact on your present. So we're recalling these incidents to your present, and as a result, you feel this sense of sadness, sense of depression, demotivation. You just feel like you don't want to get up. Okay? So these are two things that the Prophet ﷺ has told the Sahabi in order for you to actually be able to navigate these ill thoughts that come to your mind or ill feelings that you feel, and you're able to actually pay off your debts. You need to be in control of these two things, ham wa hazan. You don't let your past has control over your present, and you don't get to worry too much about the future, especially if these things are basically you have absolutely no control over. So the Prophet ﷺ is very, very precise on the words he uses to this brother. Why? Because, subhanAllah, when you're worried about results, that's why experts say there are two big circle and a smaller circle. I always give this analogy. It's a beautiful analogy that I want you to internalize, inshallah ta'ala. Big circles are the things that we want in our lives. I want my child to be a righteous. I want to have good health. I want my parents to be healthy. I want to be able to pay off my debts. These are all things that we aim, that we desire. That's basically in the big circle. Now the smaller circle are the things within our means. I want my child to be righteous, therefore I'm taking my child to actually study Quran and Islamic sciences. And then I'm actually gonna make sure that my child is going to be in a good environment, around good people, good individuals that will actually help him grow spiritually and emotionally. I'm taking steps, practical steps. These practical steps fall under this smaller circle. Now, experts say if you were to be very overwhelmed with the big circle and you're not giving the same attention to the smaller circle, then eventually you will not, most likely you will not be able to accomplish these big goals. But if you flip the coin, if you actually focus on the smaller circle, which are the means, the things within our control, and then you convince yourself, and I convince myself, that eventually the results are in the hands of Allah Azza wa Jal, I don't get to control the results, then they say more likely you will be able to accomplish these goals. You see the point? It's a mindset. It's a mindset. We only worry about the things within our means. I know my parents, for instance, are sick. Okay, what can I do? Within my means, I can provide, sort of resources to my father, to my mother. I will consult with doctors within my network. I will do a research about how can I get my father even, do better psychologically. I provide to him that support system around him. These are things within our means. Now, if I don't get very overwhelmed about the results, I want my father to be cured. Well, you don't get to control these results. It doesn't work this way. And as a result, you will feel very overwhelmed and this sense of anxiety over your father's, health condition. And as a result, you don't do anything. You don't get to actually do the things that really going to actually help him, which are the means that within our control. You see the difference? And when it comes to sadness, al-hazan, it's the same thing. Why are we recalling things from the past to our present to the point that actually makes us sad? The only exception to bring something from your past to your present is when this thing is crucial in order for you to avoid making similar mistakes or similar issues in the future. So I'm calling it from the past because I don't want to repeat these issues in the future. So it's important to actually process what happened to you in the past so you avoid it in the future. But most of the cases, we're just bringing some events, from the past, and as a result, we get just very sad and we stop. The Prophet ﷺ told him, say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan. Al-hammi wal-hazan. What is so beautiful, and I will end with this inshallah ta'ala. Hopefully in future khutbahs we can go through the dua bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. But what is so beautiful about salah, listen to this. This is mind-blowing. What is so beautiful about prayer is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking you not to think about your past and not to worry about the future, because you have to be present in your moment. You have to be thinking about the moment that you are praying to Allah Azza wa Jal right now. You're not allowed to think about your past in the prayer. You're not. You can't. That takes away from your khushu'. And you're not allowed to think about the future and, oh my God, what I'm going to be doing. No, you can't. You can't. It's to live your moment with Allah Azza wa Jal. So salah trains you to actually live your present. Right now, me and you, we have absolutely no problems in our present. Right now, right this second. Think about it. Right now, I have no issues. Either my issues have to do with our past or our future. But right the second, right the moment, we have no issues. And so, subhanAllah, the Prophet ﷺ knew that maybe this brother is overwhelmed because he's just a prisoner of his past. And he's have that massive anxiety of the future that's not allowing him to function. And as a result, he's not able to pay off his debts. And so here's the thing. Obviously, we are human beings. We will have to go through these phases. We will have to feel sort of an anxiety at some point. You will have to feel sort of sadness at some point. Because the Prophet ﷺ himself felt some sort of sadness at some point of his life when he lost his family members, when he lost his son Ibrahim alayhi salam. And he was just standing on his grave and he was crying, he was tearing, he was sad when he lost his wife. And so what is really important here is to know that to what extent I can feel this, to what extent I can feel sadness, and to what extent I can feel this sort of anxiety. And to what extent I say to myself, well, I need help. Well, now there is no way I need to seek actually help, professional help. And so experts say, yes, when you feel that this sort of depression or this sort of anxiety are crippling you from doing your daily activities, then at this point, it's beyond your capacity. Then you need to actually seek help, professional help. But most of the cases, this minor depression and this minor anxiety, everybody goes through this. And so it's so important to know how to navigate it بإذن الله تعالى. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Just to recap, depression and anxiety are two things that we will eventually experience. And it's so crucial to know how to navigate this, how to navigate these ill thoughts and these ill feelings. This dua that we discussed during this khutbah is a mindset. Imagine every day in the morning, you wake up and the first thing you say to yourself, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal hazan. Ya Allah, today I really seek refuge in you from sadness and from anxiety. And then min al-ajizi wal kasal, that's for another khutbah. Al-ajiz is disability. Wal kasal is laziness. Ya Allah, give me strength to be able to actually start my day. And Ya Allah, give me the desire to actually get out there and work and be productive. That's the opposite of kasal. Al-ajiz, when you are crippled, you don't have the strength. You're not able to actually function. But then kasal, you have the strength for it, but you don't have the desire to do it. Ajiz, you have the desire to do something, but you're not able to. Kasal, you don't have the desire, even though you actually have the strength for it. You have the capacity for it. So the Prophet ﷺ was also telling him, say this at the beginning of the day and towards the end of your day. Say, Ya Rab, we seek refuge in you from kasal and from ajiz. Because maybe you're not able to pay off your debts because you're lazy. You're not out there exploring more options. You're not putting the work. You're not putting in the work. And so the Prophet ﷺ figured it. He told him, these are the things that you may want to consider. Number one, depression and anxiety. You need to understand how to navigate this. Then after this, if you're not able to do it because you're physically not able to do so, ask Allah to give you strength. And if you're not able to do it because you have no desires, because you're lazy, even though you have the strength, ask Allah Azza wa Jal, motivate yourself to give you the strength and the desire to do it. So you wake up in the morning and you say, Ya Allah, we seek refuge in you from al-ajiz wa from al-kasal. Beautiful dua. We want us to memorize it, inshallah ta'ala, right after this khutbah. Put this as a dua in your routine, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, in your daily routine. You say it in the morning and you say it in the evening. You ask Allah Azza wa Jal to relieve the burden of our brothers and sisters in all over the world, Ya Rabbil Alameen. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us among those who will internalize these powerful, beautiful, prophetic du'as, Ya Rabbil Alameen.